this one. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I think we are live. I think. All these things going okay. All right, looks like we're rolling. All right, cool. Go live here. Go live here. All right. All right. Live. Let me see. All right, cool. All right. All right. So we go. Let me bring this down. All right. So I'm trying something new, everyone. I'm live like on all different platforms at one time. Hopefully, my video quality will be pretty good. We're gonna talk about the Mercury Retrograde because it started off on Sunday. What does it say? Create Center. All right, I'm reading. Sorry about that. Anyway, um, the Mercury Retrograde started on Saturday, and a lot of times, when we talk in Mercury Retrograde, um, it's like a lot of spookisms. Whenever someone says retrograde, everyone, starts getting a little concerned and, a little nervous about, what their life is about to look like over the next, month or few weeks or whatever. And so, we want to talk a little bit about what does a retrograde actually mean. If you haven't, subscribed to the page, check me out on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube at Raw Speech. Go subscribe to the page. Rami L. Bay on Facebook, and at Instagram is raw_truth_astrology. So check it out. The Mercury retrograde started Saturday and ends October the 2nd. When we start thinking about retrogrades, retro means to do over. Okay, so keep it in that type of context. To do over. Anytime you're talking about a retrograde, you're talking about doing something again. You're doing it over again. That's the basis of what a retrograde is. Depending on what sign it falls in, it's going to tell you what you're going to be doing over again, and what you'll see come back into your life, and things like that, right? When that happens, then you can kind of predict what's going to take place. Like right now, the retrograde is in Libra. Now, Libra deals with partnerships. It deals with relationships. It deals with things based on love relationships. It can even deal with contracts, being fair, balanced, right? All those things come into the view of Libra. So when you have a Mercury deals with communication. It deals with technology. It deals with how you learn, right? Those things are what Mercury represents. It deals with your relationship um, to technology. Okay, so that's where Mercury hits. And so now you have the Mercury retrograde means it appears to go backwards. So as it appears to go backwards, which it's really not, but that's a whole nother issue. But it's the appearance of it going backwards, which means that when it retrogrades, Mercury, let's say, was in Scorpio. So it's moving towards Scorpio. After Scorpio is going to hit Sagittarius. Well, instead of continuing to go that way, what the retrograde means is that it stopped at stopped at Scorpio, said, hold on, wait a minute. Let's go back and look at this again. So whatever things in your life in this particular department were not settled, okay, is what you'll see will come back up. When things aren't settled, when conversations need to be had, when contracts need to be talked about, things of this nature, right? If it was in Capricorn. It may be, a discussion of rules and, honoring your word, things of this nature. But it's in Libra. So we're talking partnerships. We're talking relationships, right? So now, because of that, what's going to happen is that this is that time period where the Mercury's in Libra, where you may actually hear from, someone that you used to deal with, someone that you used to be involved with, ex-lovers and things of this nature. Why? Because Mercury's in Libra. Libra deals with love. It deals with um, relationships and things of this nature. So it is very possible that someone who you broke up with, someone who you had unsettled business in the way of relationships with. Let's see. Okay. So someone you had unfinished business in the way of relationships could pop up, especially if the relationship didn't end on a good note and there was a lot of things that weren't resolved at the time. It's very, very possible that that person could pop up. Hey, what's going on, Brown Eyes? How you doing? Hello to you too. So it's very possible that those type of people will pop up, will come back up in your life. So it could have been something that's happened over the last, 3, 4, 5 months, someone that maybe you wanted to talk to and resolve the issue, or someone that maybe ghosted you, something like that. It's very possible that they may pop up, right? It also deals with friendships. If you've had, friendships that there were issues within the friendships and, in relationship, and maybe you all stopped talking, right? Then the Mercury is going to make you go back and revisit that. So it's not this scary thing, but it does make you go back and revisit the details of a situation. If you're new, joining on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or any of those, if you're on, subscribe to the page on TikTok, um, on Instagram, subscribe. Come on, let's fill the page up as much as possible. I appreciate y'all in advance. But so it's very possible that you may revisit the situation. It's not necessarily something that's negative, but Mercury wants to go back and revisit so that you can have a resolve. Okay. Now, another thing that's also important within the retrogrades is that you, especially with Mercury, is that you don't make promises. You don't sign contracts, okay, during retrograde periods. You don't enter into a relationship. So if this person is um, wanting to, all of a sudden, let's, become monogamous, or, let's get married, or you don't even accept a proposal. If a man proposes to you during a retrograde, you do not accept the proposal. And yes, it may hurt his feelings, but you don't accept proposals during retrogrades. It's almost guaranteed that something's not going to work out. That's probably, more likely going to come to an end. Why? Because during that retrograde period, that is a time period where you go back and you iron everything out, and then you move forward. You don't start doing new things during a retrograde, because the retrograde is turning the soil. During the time of turning soil is not when you start looking for things to blossom, or even when you start planting. Turning the soil gets things ready to be planted. That's why you turn the soil. That's what a retrograde does. It comes in and it starts turning the soil. It starts unearthing all these things. Usually if someone is doing something during a retrograde where they're attempting to convince you of something, it's more than likely becomes something's wrong. Something's normally going to be wrong within that relationship. They're more than likely going to be hiding something. So you want to be really, really careful about how you move, right? When it comes to contracts in business in Mercury in retrograde, signing contracts during that time um, is not wise. You always wait. You simply just wait. Okay. And until the retrograde is over, that same contract that's there during the retrograde is going to be after. And the reason you don't is because during a Mercury retrograde, you're more likely to look over things that are important. There's a huge likelihood that during a Mercury retrograde, that the things that you're supposed to be seeing on the contract, you possibly will look over. There'll be the little small writing, the little things that didn't stand out to you that were actually important during a retrograde because of the way that the planetary energy works. Usually your sight is not going to be as thorough when it comes to contracts because, Mercury rules communication. Libra is dealing with fairness and judgment and things like that, equality, equity, right? So when it's retrograding in Libra, it wants you to examine, not to cement. It wants you to examine the partnerships. But this is not a time to cement it. It's the same reason that you don't accept a proposal, a marriage proposal, or any proposal during a retrograde. Most people I know who have had, or people who I know who started relationships, who all of a sudden, the man proposed, or um, the business started during a retrograde. Most of those things fall out. I know people who during retrograde, all of a sudden the woman moved in with the guy, and 6, 7, 8 months later, it was over, because that's not how you move properly in a retrograde. You literally want to push everything that's important off until after October the 2nd. And if you can do it after October the 5th, 6th, or 7th, that's even better, because as it comes out of the retrograde, you'll still feel a little bit of a tailspin, just like you felt it coming in. So as the planets get ready to start retrograding, you'll start feeling the effects of it prior to. So it's just like each sign has a cusp. Everything has cuffs within astrology, right? So when we're moving into different ages, when certain signs are coming or retrogrades are coming, there is a cuffs area here. So there's a cuffs after and there's a cuffs before. So many times you would have seen things happen before this past Saturday, maybe 3 or 4 days prior. You may have started to feel a shift. There may have been little things started to pop up, or incidents happen, right? A lot of times, because Mercury's in retrograde, if there's something that you and your partner have been sweeping under the rug, are you felt it, Renisha? Yeah, yeah. Many people said Friday for sure. Yep. Many people did feel it. They may have felt it on Thursday, things of this nature. If you had that argument that about that situation that you and your mate or you and your friend, you know, um, didn't, never actually did, get situated, or, get worked out, is possibly going to come up. Don't be surprised. And you can look at the house. By understanding the house that is transiting, you'll see where this cleansing is going to take place at. So it could be in house 3, which is dealing with siblings and your close-knit community, right? During that Mercury in retrograde, you're going to feel a cleansing process around siblings, around those relationships, around your connection with your community that's in proximity to you, right? Let's say it's transiting house 4. If it's transiting house 4, it could be that there's you need to the relationship with the parent, the mother, your very foundation. There could be something that's going to be revisited about that, right? If let's say it's in house 10, if Mercury is transiting or retrograding in Libra house 10, there could be an examination of business contracts, right? Of your pay. How much are you making? Are you feeling like you're being treated fairly? There could be other job interviews that start to come up. There's other issues that have been lying dormant at work. You can see a lot of that come up, right? If it's in, let's say, house 12, or house 12, you may start to question, questions about your life purpose, and things of this nature. Are you really pushing towards your dreams? Are you really accomplishing the things that you feel like you want to accomplish? Things that you weren't doing will start to come back up, like, why haven't I been doing them? That's what the retrograde is for. It's not the boogeyman, right? It's not this big thing where it's like the boogeyman is going to get you during a retrograde. People, and I'll tell you how I Teach people about astrology. Oh, Ronnie. Oh, okay. Okay. Um, wow. 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 Well, Renisha, we could have done some astrological couples counseling, to see what was going on, and maybe could have found some remedies to that situation. If y'all decide to do it, let me know, and I'll get you all set up, for the astrological, couples counseling and things like that, to see what's really going on, because a lot of times um, we take things a lot more personal within relationships than what they are, right? And because of that, because we're in the relationship, when things happen, you will feel like it's a personal attack, when a lot of times people are going through their own things in life, and that becomes what's happening. They're going through what they're going through in their life, and we're walking with them in our life, in their life. And so because of that, we're the sounding board, but it doesn't always, it's really not always as personal as we think. A lot of people are traveling on their own path, and they're trying to work with it. He said he's just okay. That's funny. I understand. I understand. But there is a reason why. The question is why. That's what I would ask you. If we're doing counseling, I would get you, because I'll see it in this chart. I'll know why when I see it in this chart. But the question is why. Why does he feel uncomfortable facing the truth? Right? You're going to see him as a liar, but there's a discomfort facing the truth. That's the question. What's that discomfort and why? And is there a way to heal that? Does he want to heal it? Right. So, but that again, those are the type of things. If those things have not been addressed within the relationship, they're going to come up now. They're going to, right? Mercury is going to make you have to look at them, have to face them, right? If let's say that your Mercury in retrograde and Libra is going through, um, you know, house one, then there may be some things that come back about new projects that you just started. Did you just start a new project or finish a project? There's some complications that you overlooked. So by understanding it, Mercury wants you to literally go back and examine the details about what's going on, the details about these particular issues. That's what Mercury retrograde is about. If you keep it there, then when you hear all these people talking about, don't do this, or it's not bad. Mercury is actually trying to work it out so that you can move positively, smoothly when this retrograde is over. It just wants you to go back and work out and find out, was it really true? Did you really end that relationship a couple of months ago or 3 months ago, or leave that job or whatever, um, for the reasons that you thought? Was it actually worked out? Did you all need to talk? You said, I need to move, so I shouldn't sign a lease until. Well, what you can do, Renisha, find where you want to live. Find where you want to live. See if your moving date can be the second, if you can get the key on the second. And what I would tell you to do is make sure that while you're doing this, make sure you keep talking to your husband. Trust me. Just trust me on that. Right now, don't make a decision unless the decision was made prior to this retrograde. Okay. If the decision was made prior to this retrograde, cool. But do not make it right now. Right. If you fell out Friday and divorce wasn't on the table before Friday, then I advise you to take it off the table right now. Take it off. Don't make that decision. Because it's not over. If you make it right now, I promise you, it's not over. It was made. Okay, that's different. So then, because there was a retrograde in April. Yeah, back in April there was a retrograde. So you're always safe then. But yeah, I would definitely say look for where you want to live. Don't sign a contract until the second though. Okay. Don't sign a contract. Don't pick up the key until the second, and make sure that you're doing your research on where you want to live. Up until then, keep your options open, but don't make a final say until October 2nd, because then you'll feel much better about it if you do. All right. Because that's the big thing. even though a lot of people have, big intensive moves that they need to make right now, it's just not advised because you're going to look over something. That's how it goes. You're going to look over something. You're going to look at that place, and there's something that's inconvenient about it that you're going to brush over like it's no big deal. And then you're going to get there and realize it was a big deal. Or there's a conversation that you may be having with the husband or the wife, and you thought it was over, and you made a decision during the retrograde, but it really wasn't over. These were just things that came so that they could be revisited. And then you revisit them during the retrograde. You may need to argue it out, fight it out during the retrograde. But even if this is about, you're transiting in house 10, let's say, and so the issue is with your job. If that issue is going on with your job, then you still don't accept the job's offer until October 2nd. If I'm working with you, I'm going to help you, talk to you about contract, but I'm also going to tell you, you can't sign this contract until October the 2nd, period. October the 2nd is when you can sign the contract after this retrograde is over. Until then, you have to hold tight. Okay. If you're on my TikTok, go subscribe to the page. If you're on the Instagram, subscribe to the page. YouTube, subscribe to the page. Help me get the thing, filled up so the broadcast can get out a little bit more. I appreciate you, in advance. But don't do any of that. This is a time where you read the book. This isn't a time where you make a decision. Because again, all Mercury is doing is saying, go back and look at what you have not been paying attention to, so that we can bring that to the surface and you can deal with it, right? Somebody's going to do it anyway, and trust me, when you make a decision during a retrograde, it's usually not a good one. Interesting enough, let's say that if you could be transiting house 3. And if you're transiting house 3, this could be about, your thinking process also. It could be about how you think. You're going over the details of your thinking process. Have you been fair, right? Or are you thinking from a balanced place? So look at that house. I advise everyone to get a chart consultation from me. Just hit me up on my messages, or send me a message here, or go to my Instagram at raw_truth astrology. raw_truth_underscore astrology, or YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Raw Speaks, and just send me a message. And or go to my website. The website is Raw Speaks, RAHSPEAKS.com, and you can set up a consultation there. Just check it out, because I advise everyone to get one done. Knowing yourself is there's no higher study than knowing yourself, right? It doesn't exist. We walking around out here, and there's a possibility to having an instruction manual to our life, but we don't even know the instruction manual is possible. So we basically driving with no real sense of direction out here in our life. When there is an instruction manual that's possible, all you got to do, is get yourself set up to be able to see it, and you'll understand exactly what's going on. I can tell you why this retrograde is hitting you this way. Why did you and this person fall out, or why was this fallout at your job? Because it's in your chart. All right, so I'm gonna end this. I'm going to be more consistent on getting on here, so be looking out. Like I said, subscribe to the page, check out the website, rawspeaks.com. And I'll see you on here tomorrow. We're going to talk about something. I don't know what it is yet, but we're going to talk about something. Peace.